What's up everyone, and welcome on back for another video here on my channel. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. If this happens to be your first time stopping by, welcome. Hello, my name is Monet. I am 28 years old, and here on this channel I am dedicated to sharing my financial journey. I document how I utilize the cash envelope system and share my budgets of how I am trying to be financially responsible. So if any of that sounds like something that you are into, then definitely be sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button. Join the family. We would love to have you, and make sure that you hit the bell so that you are always notified whenever I upload my next video. So within today's video, it is once again the start of a new month. So of course that means that I'm going to be doing a monthly reset. I utilize my budget template at the start of every month to figure out how I ended the previous month. So we will be closing out for January, and then we are going to be setting up for February. So if you're interested in seeing how I'm going to do all of that, then of course just keep on watching. All right, so here we are back at my budget template. If you're unfamiliar, this template is one that I created myself, and it is available within my website and Etsy. The links for all of those are down below. So if you find enjoyment in it, then definitely check it out. And for all the people that have been using it and share that they are enjoying it, thank you once again for the support. So what I do is that at the start of the month, I fill out the budget column, and now that the month is over, I can go ahead and fill out the actual. So I'm going to go ahead and start by filtering on actual and get started with inputting our numbers to see how I did. So for full time, my income was a little bit different than what I expected it to be. When I received my first paycheck, it was more than my usual pay, and I'm assuming because it was the start of the year, something with the taxes and things were different, so it was a little bit more. But then with my second paycheck, I decided to increase my 401k contribution. So obviously that means now less money is being taken out of my paycheck, and I'm just trying to get into the habit of steadily increasing that until I'm comfortable. But all that to say that for the month of January, I was able to bring in $4,345. So it's only a $3 difference once everything was said and done. So now that we have our number and we see that we're working with our total, let's begin to do the deductions and see how everything played out. Getting started with my bills for rent, it was the $1,680 that I budgeted for. Rent doesn't change, so that was to be expected. Then next I have utilities. I budgeted $54, but I came in at $31, so that was nice to see. This utility makes up my water, trash, and sewers. In terms of internet, I was supposed to be charged $50. $50 to $51 is supposed to be my new bill, but I was only charged $47, and I'm not going to question it. I truly don't know why, but whenever a bill is lower, I don't ask questions. I just pay it and move on. So we paid $47 for the month for that. And then we have my electricities. I budgeted $150 because it's been getting colder, as we know, and my electricity is tied to my heat. So this is going to grow each month until winter is over. But happy to say that I over budgeted. I only had to pay $135 versus the $150, so all in all, not too bad. The last thing that I have is rollover. This is more like a buffer whenever I have any funds left over. So after I finish paying everything and allocating everything out, whatever dollars is remaining, I typically just throw into my rollover buffer. So we can now move on to expenses. Getting started with gas. I budgeted $80 for the month, but I actually only did $70. I really did not use a lot in terms of gas this month. We did have a snowstorm, and thankfully, whenever it's too bad of a conditions, my company lets us work from home. So I didn't have to drive to the office as much as I anticipated this month. And then we also had like some holidays, so it was just less driving overall. And also when it snows during the weekends, I'm not doing anything. I'm just staying in my house. So gas just didn't need as much, so only $70 for the month I allocated there. In terms of spending, $200, that is what I gave myself. Same for groceries, that received $300. Toiletries I brought down slightly, but not too much. It was $95 versus the $100. Clothing did receive the $60, and eating out also received $80. that I budgeted. So expenses, that looks good there. Now we can move on to savings and getting started with my annual payments. I budgeted $50, but I only gave $45. This is because at the start of each year, I look at all of my subscriptions and see what is worth it or if there's anything I want to get rid of. And then I also plan out each month for the year based off of what I have in my envelope, how much I need to allocate to this category. Overall, I'm kind of debating still on some subscriptions if I want to get rid of them or not. But as long as each month I'm not paying an amount that's too uncomfortable for myself, I'll keep the subscriptions. So I was happy to see that I could at least bring it down $5. But I'm still on the fence with all these subscriptions. It's really just too much in my opinion. And I'm quick to cancel if I don't see the value in it. But as of right now, everything is as it is. In terms of car maintenance, $40 is what that sinking fund received for the month. Car insurance received $80. Christmas is getting started, so I added $40. Gifts was $20, and household did receive the $30. Medical was at $0. And travel, I budgeted $345, but I was actually able to give a little bit more at $365, so that was nice. Home fund did not receive anything this month. It is at $0 until we complete my emergency fund. And for the month, I wanted to give $585, but happy to report that I was able to give $620, so that was nice to see. But overall, for my savings, looking good there. And now we can move on to my investments. Here we have my Roth IRA. I was budgeting $400 to max out the last amount that I needed for my 2024 contributions. And as we know, I did achieve that goal. So $400 is what that category received, and I am happy to be done with that. And then over here we have debt, but I do not have any debt. I am debt free. So that will complete all of the allocations. And looking at what is remaining, we see I have $7. So I'm just gonna go ahead and dump that $7 into my rollover. All right, so now that everything has been inputted, we can look at my income summary. We see, of course, the $3 difference in terms of my income, so a little bit down there. As for bills, we were able to be down $38, so that's good. I actualized at $1,900 versus the $1,938 that I budgeted for. Similar story for expenses. We were able to be down $15 versus what we budgeted, so came in at $805. And then the difference that we were able to be down between bills and expenses, I just went ahead and added that to my savings, so I was able to add $50 more than I anticipated. So the total for savings this month was $1,240, and then investments was the same, $400, and then debt is $0. So that gives me a zero-based budget, and that is how I like to allocate, giving every dollar a place. So if we want to look at our percentages and see how that looks, we actualized bills at 43.7%, expenses at 18.5%, savings at 28.5%, and investments at 9.2%. So very similar to what we budgeted, so that is good. And then I look at my savings breakdown, and I like to look here because there's always at least one savings category that I'm prioritizing. And ideally, I want to give 50% of whatever I'm saving to whatever I'm focusing on at the moment. So we all know that my emergency fund is number one. So happy to see that 50% of my savings went there. After that, we have travel at 29.4, and then my other sinking funds make up the rest of the pie, which isn't much, but still important. All right, so that will be the breakdown in terms of where my money was allocated. And then down here, we can scroll to the expense breakdown to see exactly what I spent my money on. And for the month of January, I did challenge myself to spend as little as possible because December was just a lot going on and I felt like I spent a lot. So January, I really wanted to challenge myself to do the minimum that I could. And I'm happy to say I surprised myself by how little I spent. So in terms of expenses that I track my gas, spending, groceries, toiletries, clothing, and eating out. And for the month, if we total all of that up, I only spent $360 across all of those categories, which is insane. I don't think in my entire 4 years, going on 5 years of budgeting, that I've spent so little in terms of like variable expenses for the month. So that was nice. But getting into exactly what I did and what percentage that made up, we can start with gas. Gas, after I check it, we see that I went there 2 times, and for the month that was a total of $39. So gas equated to about 10.8% of my spending for the month. Following that, we have spending fuel this month. It totaled $130. In terms of where that went, some of it went to the post office. I did have to ship my mom some packages, so paid for that. But the bulk of my spending was when I bought a flat iron from Amazon, and that was $95. I had this flat iron for 15 years, and I'm still a little sad that she is gone, but she finally broke and gave out on me, so I had to buy a new one. And I thought I wasn't going to be able to find that same brand because, as I said, it was years ago, and I got it from like a mall kiosk stand. But I was happy to see that I found it on Amazon, the same brand and everything, and $95. I was like, yes. So hopefully this flat iron lives for another 15 years. But again, that was really the majority of my spending. In terms of percentages for my spending, that was at least 36.1% went towards that category. Next, we can move on to groceries. Groceries was a total of $125 for the month, and that was me going to various places: Costco, Kroger, Walmart. So not too bad for that in terms of groceries. I had quite a few of things in my freezer, so I think that feeds into why I didn't spend so much. Next, we get into toiletries. Again, a category that wasn't used that much. I only did $21. And that was just me going to Walmart one time. I don't think I said it, but groceries was 34.7%, and then toiletries is 5.8%. So again, very small, I didn't do much. Here we have clothing, but clothing, we see I spent nothing out of this category. I am trying to save up my clothing so that then I can do a shopping spree once I have a good amount of money. So won't anticipate really taking anything from there just yet. And then lastly, we have eating out. Went out to eat a couple of times, but for the month only totaled $45, which I am not mad at. I went to Dunkin', McDonald's, Chinese food, so just little things to help me throughout the month. But as I said, overall, not upset with my spending for expenses. I am actually very proud. The thing that I focus on is this left to spend column, because this signifies how much money I'm gonna have in these categories until I get paid for the first time in February. So looking at these, I feel good, feel supported. I do have to go grocery shopping this weekend, so good to see that I still have some money left over. But we have gas at $102. Spending has $200, groceries has $220, toiletries $130, clothing at $145, and eating out with $65. Overall, I think that's a great way to wrap up January. It was a very long month. I feel like it was just too much going on, and it just took too long to be done. But we made it, and now we can go ahead and get started with budgeting for February. Okay, so here we are with our February. I already went ahead and filled in the categories for us. In terms of February, I'm getting paid twice. My first paycheck will be February 7th, and then my second one will be February 21st. So let's figure out where we are going to put the funds. So looking at my updated paycheck from the last time I got paid, I'm going to anticipate my full-time for the month to be $4,322. That will hit my account. All right, and now that we have our number, let's divvy it out and see where things are going. So first up, we have rent. Of course, that's getting $1,680. That will always be the same. Utilities, I'm gonna budget at $55 again. I honestly feel like I am in my low season, but I want to budget at least $50 one more time. And then after that, my utilities is normally like $40 or $30 during the winter. Internet, that should be $51. That I think is my new standard bill. So $51 there. And then we have electricity, which I am terrified to see what the bill is gonna look like this month. In terms of weather, we have been in the negatives, and as I said, it's been snowing, so the heat has been running constantly for myself. So I'm gonna budget $250. When I looked at my budget last year, I did not spend over $250 in terms of heat. So fingers crossed that that is still the case. $250, and we'll see how that plays out. Rollover will come back once we are finished. So now we can move on to expenses. Here we have gas. Gas for the month, I'm going to budget at $60. For spending, I'm going to give myself $200. Groceries, I'm going to give myself $250. Toiletries is going to be $90. Clothing will get $60, and eating out will get $90. In terms of things going on for the month of February, I have my dad's birthday, so I will be leaving to visit him in New Jersey. And then at the end of this month, I will be leaving to go on my cruise. So I increased my eating out a little bit more to compensate for the fact that I'm not going to be at home as much. And normally when I do, I eat out more. And throughout the month, as I receive my paychecks, I may adjust my spending as well, because there are some things that I need to pick up for my cousin in preparation for this cruise. This cruise is not just going to be myself and my cousin. This is like a big family cruise. So unsure of how that will go, but we will budget and remain cautious for that. So moving on, we have savings, and this is my favorite section. I just love to see my savings grow. It's my favorite thing to do. So in terms of annual payments, as I said, we're going to do $45. For car maintenance, we're going to do $40. Car insurance, the standard $80. Christmas is going to get $40. Gifts, I'm going to do $35. I'm bumping it up slightly again for my dad, because I want to beef up that envelope a little bit more just to cover anything that we might do. Household is going to get $15. Don't really need anything in there, so brought that down. Medical is going to be $0. We have enough within that envelope as of right now. Travel, I'm going to budget at least $300, and this travel money within my sinking fund is the money that I will be using as I'm on the boat. So adding this $300, if I'm able to save it, plus what I already have in the envelope, I should have about $500 to work with. Now, I never, normally spend that much money on a cruise once I'm on it. All the other expenses have been paid. This is just strictly spending money. But as I said, it's a bigger family. I don't know what we're going to get into, so just want to be prepared. And then lastly, for emergency fund, to keep me on track, I would love to save $580. So that will be my goal. All right, so then the last thing that we have over here is my Roth IRA. Now that we are done with 2024, we are now going to start with 2025. And I'm going to start with $400, try and save that within there. The limit again is $7,000. So slow progress, and we will hope to complete that once again. So debt is going to be left $0. And then in terms of what is remaining, we have $1 whole, and I'm going to go ahead and dump that into rollover, bringing me down to $0, which is a zero-based budget, and that is what I like to see. All right, so now that everything has been inputted, we can go ahead and look at the income summary, see how we are rolling into a total. So income, we're starting with $4,322. For bills, we're looking at $2,037 spent within there, expenses at $750, savings with $1,135, and investments at $400. And if we want to look at that in terms of a percentage, for bills, I'm rolling to about 47%, expenses at 17%, savings at 26.3%, and investments at 9.3%. So that looks good to me. I am comfortable with those percentages. And then the last thing that I do is come down here and fill out my check-in, and I complete the rollover balance, and I ensure I input these numbers so that then once I begin adding my spending for February, it all matches the left to spend. So as we saw, gas had a remaining $102, spending had $200, groceries with $220, toiletries at $130, clothing $145, and eating out with $65. All right, so there we go. After all of that, that should complete our breakdown for February. Excited to see how the month plays out. And yeah, that should complete how we're gonna budget. All right, everyone. So thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, I truly do appreciate it. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up. That really does help and support the channel, and share it with anybody that you also think would find value within this. Let me know down in the comments below how your January went, how your February is looking. You know, we love to do check-ins, and I love to hear what you guys are up to. If you aren't subscribed yet, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, join the family. We have a lot going on this year, so of course I would love to have you a part of the journey. I appreciate all of the new people that have been joining. Welcome to the fam. Hope you enjoy. But as for today, that is all I have. It is getting dark, so let me go ahead and wrap this up, and I will catch you all next time within my next video. Bye guys.